From its sun-soaked sands to its towering Norfolk pines, there's no more iconic image of Western Australia than Cottesloe Beach. It's the backdrop to long, lazy summer evenings when the sun slowly dips over the Indian Ocean. Just 20 kilometres off its shores is Perth's holiday playground, Rottnest Island, where generations of West Aussies flock to its unspoilt white sandy beaches and crystal blue waters. But there's one day a year when holidays are put on hold. A gruelling battle between man and Mother Nature. It's the world's largest open water swim, where 2,500 competitors will test their endurance, their focus and their will to win. Welcome to the 2016 Rottnest Channel swim. For over 60 years, swimmers have set off from Cottesloe Beach to these shores, hoping that they have the strength and the stamina to complete this iconic ocean crossing. But most of all, they're out to have a lot of fun along the way. Swimmers will set off from Cottesloe Beach in waves starting at dawn across 19.7 kilometres of open ocean. The best will finish in around 4 hours, but some will fall agonisingly short. The race ritual begins before sunrise. The beach is buzzing with nerves and excitement. On the water, the anticipation is growing as the minutes tick by to the race start.
Crowd is starting to build. It really is a wonderful atmosphere.
Most are simply out to conquer the channel. Others are here to win.
For the very first time, the champions of the channel, the best of the best, solos, the duos and the teams.
On the morning of the swim, nerves are at their highest. Stress, a lot of stress as well. Excited, nervous, and really I'm just looking forward to starting this.
The emotions will probably be, gee, I wonder if I've done enough training. You're usually having a bit of a look at the competition and you're thinking about the weather. Hopefully my boat's in position, my paddler's got his head screwed on right, so...
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but they're good nerves, and yeah, I think I'm ready, you know. Had 2 times breakfast, so...
An elite group of 54 who will head the field in a race within the race. They face the toughest of qualification standards, and after months of gruelling training, it all comes down to this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Once you dive in the water, it's actually kind of a relief because you know that you've done everything right.
It's dark, you can't see anything, you don't know whether you're going straight.
I had to be first straight away.
There's 1,000 people that want to be the first out to the buoy. It's a madhouse.
It's pretty crazy. There's a lot happening in that first 1,500 to 2K.
I kept telling myself, you know, I've done the Ks, I've done the work.
You've got to create your own water, create your own space and blast your way through.
It's one of the most stressful parts of the day, and for any Rottnest race rookie, it can be a baptism of fire.
My name is Lars. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm 18 years old, and yeah, I'm doing open water swimming now for more than 5 years. I heard about swimming to an island. I googled it. It looks great. In Holland, it's way too cold now to swim in open water, or yeah, to swim outside. So most of my preparation I've done here. Training with the Australian club here.
Okay, so we need to practice at race speed being streamlined.
I'm here for 2 months, and I don't want to expect too much from the race by myself because this is my first time to do more than 10K in a race.
But the question is, will the Aussie hospitality extend to the open water? The early signs suggest not.
I was fairly relaxed. I was very comfortable. I had a bit of separation between me and the other solo swimmers. I wasn't expecting to be leading. My dad was paddling and he said, yeah, you're leading by about 200 metres.
Lars has a hold on second place, while in the teams it's shaping as a battle in 3.
We're really confident in trying to chase down the record if we got the right conditions. For me, because I'm a long distance swimmer, I need a fair bit of time to warm up. I'd probably swum for 30 minutes, which is probably about 2.5k off the beach. We were always first, and then the Cottesloe team, they were a very close second. And the Perth City team, they were third, but they were sitting a little bit of a more northern line. Because they were doing regular changeovers, we weren't spreading the gap a lot more, but I was also saving the energy of my other teammates.
He's been soaking up the Aussie summer, so has Lars's training been enough? Also coming up on Champions of the Channel, it takes 2 to tango in the duos.
Fancy seeing you guys here.
But this dancing gets dirty. 500 metres off WA's normally calm Cottesloe Beach, there's tension at daybreak.
Everyone's trying to pinpoint the fastest swimmers and get on their feet.
Hang on, mate. Hang on him, Timmy.
Among them are brothers Tim and Ben Hewitt, competing as a duo.
You're away, Ben.
I'm a plastic surgeon.
I'm an orthopaedic surgeon, so I basically do knees and shoulders.
I sort of always say to my brother, plastic surgery's a little bit more challenging than orthopaedic surgery because we have to think about things.
There's always that thing about plastic surgeons that all they do is cleft lip and palate, charity work and skin cancers, and we all know that's completely untrue. Okay, they're all bickering and fighting for the cosmetic dollar.
Certainly at the races that we do on the weekend, there's some pretty healthy rivalry. Luckily, I usually have the jump on him on those because he's a little bit older and a little bit slower.
We get 3 hours of training out of Tim a week. That's pretty good. Often it's a highlight for me to text or ring Tim and say, where were you this morning? And hear today's excuse why he couldn't make it because, you know, he got called back to the hospital. There was a cosmetic emergency with the school balls coming up and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, he's got a fair bit of work on.
He'll no doubt blame me for any problems on the day and I'll blame him for problems on the day.
Tim will be hoping against hope that he hangs in there and then I lose 100 metres and the day's over. And he can blame it on me and it's all fine at that point. So I'm just going to make sure I hang in there so it's Tim's fault if we don't win.
I'll be starting off on the beach and then I'll just be looking forward to getting in the boat and letting my brother do some work.
We're in this race to win, you know, there's no doubt, and Tim wouldn't be in it if he didn't think he could win. So I think I'm assuming we're going to win unless Tim makes some terrible mistake.
In their sights are pre-race favourites Gareth Evans and the man they've dubbed the Monster, Jeremy Brooks-Smith.
I felt good straight off the beach and started heading out, and then I knew there was a few people around me, so then I tried to pick up the pace a bit. By the time we got to about 1,000, there was 2 or 3 of them, and Tim Hewitt was one of them.
I don't really like swimming on people's toes. I like to get up next to them if I can.
I knew we were going to be in for a tough day when he was still there.
The pace isn't quite on yet, it's reasonably easy to keep up, but they're starting to get a bit twitchy on the other boat. The young boys don't have much patience. So we're going to start to rough him up a little bit now. I'm going to start to get on his toes, start hurting him, come up on his hip, just seeing if he likes that so much.
We changed our race plan a bit. We threw some surprises in there to try and throw them off guard, but they were pretty resilient and they copied us, they mirrored us.
Safely out of the firing line is the early female solo leader, Jamie Bowler.
I think I do the Rottnest Sim because of the challenge and getting everyone together, and the feeling at the end makes it worth it. The hardest thing for me about training is trying to fit in my swimming training with the rest of my life, with the family, with work, with kids, and trying to keep on top of it all. Your body is sore, you feel like you've got knots all through your back and your neck, you're tired, then you're overtired and you can't sleep, physically and mentally tired all the time. Last year when I swam the race, I was winning for most of the race until the finishing shoot. I was swearing the whole time, I'm never going to do this again. Once, you know, this is my final time, my 5th final time. In the last 10 seconds, she passes me, I'm doing it again next year. I think it was 14 seconds the time difference was. So I'm hoping that this could be my year.
Hi, Jamie! In the teams, Rockby Dental has held their position through the first 10Ks.
About halfway, we were probably about 6 minutes under the record, and the record stood for a long time. We really thought we could get it.
But it's the solos who are really starting to feel the burn.
I was fatiguing quite a bit. I just sort of lost my rhythm for a bit, maybe lost a bit of focus. And you sort of get to this point where your arms sort of feel like they have weights on them.
Oh yeah, it always hurts. It always hurts.
Still, despite his genuine Dutch courage, teenager Lars can't capitalise. But it's in the duos where competition is fiercest and the frustration is starting to show.
Touching our toes.
Yeah.
The whole way.
A bit of tap dancing, a bit of annoying them. Seeing if the young boys crack.
As soon as I got in the water, Tim got in the water as well. As we changed our race plan, they replicated it. They're like getting as close to our feet as possible to get as much drag from us.
There was a lot of blocking going on this year. Now, blocking is where another swimmer deliberately swims in front of a faster swimmer to slow them down.
It's like a free ride. They can get in right in behind the toes and just get dragged along.
When you've got a big guy like Jeremy or a guy that's reasonably wide in the buttocks like Gareth, then you'll find that they can block quite well.
We tried not to lead, and we'd slow down and they'd slow down, and we'd swim at right angles to the course, and they'd replicate that, and they'd just follow us wherever our feet were going.
And at one stage they were actually swimming almost 90 degrees, I felt, to get directly in front of us. It was quite bizarre.
I mean, it just gets on your nerves after a while.
It'd be really annoying having somebody touch your toes the whole way like this.
10Ks down, but still just under 10 to go. The wrong move now could decide what happens at the finish. So, will our brothers be playing the blame game at the finish, or will it be time to celebrate? That's next. Plus, across history, thousands of swimmers have completed the Channel crossing. We hear from the very first. WA's annual Karma Resorts Rottnest Channel swim is always hotly contested. But in 2016, there's more at stake. The chance to be named the inaugural champion of the Channel.
I've been doing long distance swimming for about 3 years now. Last year in August, I went across to England and completed the English Channel swim. There were solos behind me sort of starting to catch me, and I just sort of thought to myself, because I'd sort of swum further, you know, I can make the distance. Even though it's hurting, my arms can physically make the 20 kilometres. So I just sort of kept pushing, and I think that's just what sort of got me through.
Yes, this is at 10K down. By passing a buoy, it gives you a sense that you're moving forward, because sometimes you feel like you're swimming and swimming and swimming. You look up at Rottnest and it's never getting closer.
The scale of the swim nowadays is a far cry from the first ever recorded crossing way back in 1956, when a German man by the name of Gert von Dinklage-Schulenberg crossed over in around 10 hours. Not surprisingly, the whole idea came about after a few drinks at the Rotto pub, and Gert had racked up a pretty hefty bar tab.
I was having such a good time, I wasn't noticing, you know, the old Aussie idea that you have to shout your round, and I didn't want to be non-Aussie, so I shouted my round or rounds. He was there, and he watched me in action there, and he came over and he says, "Listen, mate, do you realize how much you're spending there? I mean, how are you going to get back? How are you going to pay for your fare?" Oh, I said, I never thought of it, mate. Well, I guess I'll just have to swim back. It was so low-key as that.
Most swimmers still face a long day ahead, but at the front of the field, Rottnest is fast approaching.
You're thinking, all right, how can I get rid of them? What move can I make? What can I try and do differently to just catch them off guard? It kind of weighs you down a bit as well.
Whenever I jumped in the water, Gareth would go off like a mad thing, you know, with a 6-beat kick and his arms failing, and I'd just feel following phone, but then tap him after 100 minutes and just say, "It's all right, Gareth, I'm here. You know, don't worry, I'm here."
Ben's a bulldog. Ben's a bulldog with no hair.
In the teams, there's a little more separating them, but not much.
Towards the finish, City of Perth really made a surge and they got within probably 15 metres. We could hear their support crew to give me a rest. Just the 3 boys were doing the changeovers. Pat, Chris and Greg were completely wrecked. Chris was vomiting, Greg was just as tired as him, Pat was delirious. They were getting down to 30 to 45 second intervals. In and out, it's just pain. And to see that, I was like, I want to get in there and help them out. They were probably about 10 to 15 metres, but then because I was rested, I managed to get a lot more of a gap. To be the first on the island and to see the crowd waiting for the first swimmers to arrive, all I can say is that you need to do it to find out.
Behind them, an 18-year-old from the landlocked nation's capital who's leading the male solos. But there are several others breathing down his neck.
One of the things that I realised when I was swimming the English Channel is that you don't sort of look up at France because it never appears to come any closer. And that was the same with Rottnest. I was in a lot of pain from all the fatigue, and I'd been sort of stung by a jellyfish. But just sort of coming out that water and looking back and knowing it wasn't going to be a real sprint finish, and going through the banner, champion of the channel, is absolutely unbelievable. Just sort of that overwhelming feeling of joy.
Around 15,000 kilometres across the globe, the family of international hopeful Lars is tracking his finish online.
I was lying second all the time, and the last bit was so heavy, it was indescribable.
Still to come on Champions of the Channel.
Can Jamie make amends for last year, or will it be another heartbreak at the finish?
And can our toe-tapping brothers keep in tune? The teams and male solo swimmers have crossed the line in the inaugural Champions of the Channel, but a few kilometres offshore, it's make or break for the females.
All of a sudden, at about the 14K mark, it just felt a bit messy. Your arms start probably getting a bit tired, and you could feel like a little slight currents pushing. It's really, really important to have a crew that you trust. I struggle trying to drink fluid, so their biggest thing was drink, 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 don't stop drinking. That's when you mentally have to be strong and just not fixate on the pain and just go, look, we're going to do this.
And just up ahead, not even a body length separates our dueling duos.
Now is when it counts. Up till now, everyone's been sort of just hanging in with each other. It's up to Tim now to actually do something, and as opposed to sitting on the toes of the other guys all day. So, you know, it's the race is there to be won.
Maybe the 4 or the 5K mark to go, you know that the race is going to start really lifting in pace.
The last 5Ks, they were getting tired.
We kind of had a bit of a plan for me to just try and do whatever I could to try and drop Ben. And I just tried my heart out and gave Jez maybe half a body length lead, if that.
As they get closer, there's one final change.
On Tim.
And just as Ben predicted pre-race, now it really is all up to Tim.
750 metres off the shore. It's essentially just a sprint to the line, and so we had
to walk up and pick up the medal, really.
It is. And so we had us and
get the medals ready. Here he comes. The first medals. We'll need 2 of them.
He came up alongside my hip. You could see the finishing arch with about 200 metres to go. Put a bit of press on and picked up the pace.
Go, Tim!
Left! Come on, Tim!
You got him, Tim!
The